Anybody who doesn't want to be recorded could bail.
Yes, California is a two-party state, so at least for the Californians, if you don't want to be recorded, scram out of here. I'll go ahead and share my screen, Deborah, and then whenever Marcus
Perfect.
is ready.
Oh, is
Yeah,
Martha's group staying here? I
Yeah.
I
Yes,
didn't remember.
Martha's group is staying here.
And Kaya goes with
Okay.
me. She's new today, and yeah. I can't remember. You see the list. Right, Marcus?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks so much, Marcus.
So I'll just go ahead and start.
Yeah, go Phil. Go Phil, go.
So today we're going to talk about finesses and, what are they? Why do we use them and how do we use them? And the important thing for me is this is all about the play of the cards, which is endlessly fascinating.
We can't see the slide.
Oh,
Oh, I can see the slide.
I can see it. I can see it. I can see it.
There.
Check your settings.
Ruthie, you don't have to share your screen. You just have to sit there.
Right.
we good to
You
go?
can't see it?
Well, now the screen was there and now it went to the Zoom.
Now I do have it.
Okay, thank you.
It's there, yeah.
Okay. So anyway, what we'll see is that the finesse is an important part of something I call positional advantage. And I like to put an image of some sort on this page. And so I Googled images related to finesse, and this is what came up. And believe it or not, it's going to be relevant.
Oh, right.
So in short, what are finesses? They are a hope that an important card held by the defense is in the right place. And the
Well,
reason,
and you're fishing, right?
yeah, you're fishing for the missing card. Exactly. And why do we use them? We use them to take more tricks. So, because we always like taking tricks. So I wanted to show this slide that conveys kind of the idea of positional advantage. So suppose you're a declarer here in, I don't know, 3-no trump. It looks to me like you've got 8 tricks you can take. Ace, king, ace, king, ace, king, ace, king, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're never going to take a trick in dummy.
Right.
And if you have to lead out of your hand, like you're going to play the ace of hearts and the king of hearts, and they're not going to drop the queen under that. So eventually you're going to play the jack and they're going to take the queen. But luckily for you, you're the declarer and this person over here is on lead. And whatever suit they lead, they give you a certain trick.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't matter if they lead a spade or a heart or a diamond or a club. If the person on the right plays small, you'll win with the jack.
Mm-hmm.
And if the person on the right plays the queen, you'll take it with your king and your ace and jack are now good. So this is the whole idea of being in, having an advantage due to the position of when you play. It's really good to play fourth to a trick. Because you can see all the other cards and make your decision. And my wife Dana and I took some bridge classes from a wonderful teacher, and he characterized this kind of holding as jaws.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever is leading around into your jaws, and you're just going to chomp on the queen if it shows up. And if it doesn't show up, I guess you use your slimy little tongue as the jack to just slurp it up. So playing fourth to a trick is a tremendous advantage because you get to play the last and you see the cards. And one of the expressions is the lead comes up to you or comes around to you. And I can't put this on the page without mentioning that the second player is at a real disadvantage because the lead goes through the second player.
Mm-hmm.
And the third player gets to choose her card after seeing your card. So for example, if you're over here on lead on defense, and this is the dummy, you get to lead and it goes right through the dummy and your partner can make the perfect choice of card to play. So this is what positional advantage is all about. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about how we use positional advantage as a declarer play tool. And I don't think I'll use the word positional advantage anymore. I'm just going to talk about finesses. And we're going to talk about kind of the classic finesse, and we're going to talk about when you have a bunch of supporting honors. And then we're going to talk about a really, really important topic, which is leading toward an unsupported honor. And we'll talk about that in a bit. But newer players forget this one, and it's super important. So let's go ahead.
Bill,
Yes.
as long as we're all still here, can you just quickly define declarer?
Declarer, suppose Grace and I are partners and we bid into a 4-spade contract. If I bid spades first, I'm going to be the declarer. The person on my left is going to make the opening lead, the first card led, and my partner's hand is going to come down on the table and be what's called dummy. And I, as declarer, am going to make the decisions about what cards to play from both my hand and dummy's hand. Is that about what you were looking for, Deborah?
That's exactly what I was looking for.
Okay.
Because defense and declaring, we haven't exactly talked about that very much yet.
Got it. Well, that was my birthday present to you, Deborah.
I love you.
So I want to talk first about kind of the classic finesse. And let's look at a potential holding in a suit. There's dummy, which is the hand that's down on the table. And then there's your hand as declarer. And you've got in this suit maybe the 4 and the 3. And dummy has the ace and the queen and the 2. And I claim that if you start this suit from dummy, you're only going to take one trick.
Mhm.
If you bang down the ace, do you think the bad guys are going to throw the king under it?
No.
I don't
No.
think so. And if you play the queen, don't you think whoever has the king is going to take it?
Mhm.
So if you start the suit from dummy, you only take one trick. So where is the king? We don't know. It could be on either side. So here's what we're going to do as what a finesse is. We're going to hope that the king is on the left. And we're going to lead small from our hand. Remember that first example we gave where the card came around and you were in position to grab it with your jaws? This is the same kind of idea. We're going to hope the king is on the left, and we're going to lead a small card from our hand. And if they play small, we'll play the queen and it'll win the trick. And now we got 2 tricks. And if they play the king, we'll take it with the ace. And now we got 2 tricks.
But what if you play the queen and the king is on the other side?
If the king is on the other side, there's nothing you can do.
Right.
So we'll lead through this person and hope they have the king. And if the king is on the left, we say it is in front of the ace queen or on side, and the finesse will win and we'll take 2 tricks. And here's the way to think about it. Look at the dummy and see the jaws. You've got the ace and the queen, and you're hoping to chomp on the king. If they play small, you'll play the queen. If they play the king, you'll chomp on it. We good with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Some people say a finesse is a guess, that you're guessing that the king is over here. I don't like that. I say a finesse is a hope. You're just hoping the king is over there. And if it is, you've turned your 1 trick into 2.
Phil, don't you have a sense from the bidding of who's got the king?
Absolutely. If this person on the left had bid strongly, you're pretty sure they've got the king. Absolutely.
And they're not likely. Assuming you're paying attention.
Yes. Right.
True.
They're not likely to put their king down though,
Mm.
when they see the ace and dummy.
No,
So it's
no,
only
they're
that's all they have.
yeah, they're not going to put the king down if they can avoid it, which is why I use the words here. You lead small from hand, planning to play the queen.
Right.
If they
Right.
do this, if they play the king, then take it. Why not?
Yeah.
And to the question or point that got raised earlier, if the king is on the right, then the finesse loses. But at least the finesse gave you a 50-50 chance of getting an extra trick.
Right.
And if you started from dummy, you had 0 chance. And I like 50 better than 0.
Hey, Phil,
Yes.
we've had it drilled into us from day one about secondhand low. Like,
Yes.
and so when we're doing these finesses, we're always assuming that second hand is going to play low because we all learned to play bridge together. I've been using this app on my phone. That's a pretty good bridge app, but it doesn't do that. It always plays high.
Oh,
It actually screws everything up that I've learned.
Oh.
Like, I can't predict what it's going to do. And I'm wondering, when you're playing with people who have not had it drilled into the, like, since it's not a rule to play second hand low, it's simply
It's
a good way to play.
guidance, right? It's guidance. It's one of the things that my mother said 50 some years ago that is true to this day. My wife and I hadn't played in person in ages, and we went and played at a sectional tournament nearby some months ago. And we happened to be playing against a guy. There are not many people I don't care for. I don't care for this guy. We happened
Because
to be
he
sitting at
doesn't
the
play
table with this
secondhand
guy, and he led a card, and I did not play secondhand low.
Uh,
And it cost us the match.
mhm.
So I think you could, I'm glad you like your app. I think you're.
No, I don't like that because
Oh, well
it-
then delete it. I'll show you how.
no, my question is just, since when you're playing, it is just a suggestion to players, right? So
Yes.
there's no way to really, I can sort of predict the way people in this group are going to play because we've had that built into us. I'm just wondering if you have advice when you're dealing with exactly this
Let me
situation.
pose the following question to you. If you're sitting over here as West with king and 3 or 4 small cards, is there any possible benefit to playing the king?
No.
No.
Right.
Okay.
No.
Ergo, second hand low.
Okay.
Here's another classic finesse. Dummy has the ace and the 3 and the 2, and you've got the queen, jack 10. If you start this suit from dummy, you'll take 2 tricks. You know, if you play the ace, they're going to play small and they'll take the king, and then you'll get the last trick, right? I mean, unless the king is singleton. And if you play a small one, they'll end up taking the king. So if you start the suit from dummy, you take 2 tricks. But where's the king? It could be on either side. And suppose it's on the left. Let's hope it's on the left. Let's lead the queen.
mm-hmm,
And if that person plays low, we play low.
mm-hmm.
And we'll hold the trick. And
Maybe.
then we'll continue and we'll play the jack. And again, we'll hold the trick. So if the king gets played, you grab it. I tried to look for a suitable image. That was the best I could do.
Mm-hmm.
If you Google mousetrap and look for images, all you find are traps that are catching computer mice. But I digress. So you lead the queen and you hope this person has the king. And if they play the king, you grab it, and now you have 3 tricks.
Mm-hmm.
So what's really important here is you have not only the queen, but the jack and the 10 to support it. So that when he plays the king or she plays the king, you've still got the jack 10. So if the queen wins, do it again.
Mm-hmm.
If the king is on the left, again, we say it's onside and the finesse won or the finesse worked. And you'll get 3 tricks out of this suit, not 2. If the king is on the right, there's nothing you can do. But at least you gave yourself a 50-50 chance. So this is pretty much the story of a finesse. Let me do two more hands or two more examples. This is a little bit more sophisticated, but dummy's got the ace and the queen and the 10, and we've got the jack and a couple of little ones. Does this kind of look like the other situation?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you see the jaws waiting to eat the king?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing is to see the jaws waiting to eat the king, and then you want to hope that the king is on the left. And what we're going to do is we're going to lead and take a finesse.
So you would lead the jack there?
Bingo. You'd lead the jack.
Why?
Because if it wins, you'd play the 10 underneath it. And if it wins, you're in the right place to do it again.
Ah, gotcha.
Isn't that cool?
Oh, yeah.
And these are the kinds of things that we look at them on the screen and we go, oh yeah. And then you're playing this hand tomorrow and you lead the 2 and you take it with the 10. And then you have to figure out how to come back to your hand. And all I can do is say, the more time you spend at the table, the more you'll look at something like this and say, lead the jack so I can stay here. It's simply a matter of time at the table.
But this isn't high card from the short side.
No, this is not high card from the short side, although I guess it's kind of like a distant cousin.
Okay.
So let's look at another one.
Bill, I have a question.
Yes.
It seems as though if you can master patterns, that would also play in this scenario too. It would help, right?
And by patterns, you mean like 4, 4, 3, 2?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, for example, if you had a 4th card in dummy, you'd be thinking, okay, 4 and 3 is 7, is it 4, 4, 3, 2, or is it 4, 3, 3, 2? And if it's 3, 3 by the defense, then my 13th will be good. Exactly. It's related to that.
Bill, I have a question.
Yes.
If the jack is equal to the 10,
yes.
So why not lead with the 2 going to the 10?
Well, that's what I was going to say. It saves you having to go back to the other hand.
It saves you having to come back to your hand. If you have plenty of aces and kings in the declarer hand, you can always come back to your hand and do it again. The important point is you want to do it again. So like remember this hand where we had the queen jack 10? We led the queen, and if it held, we were still here and we could do it again. And then if the jack held, well, by then we're down to just the ace. But because we had the queen jack 10 here, we could stay in this place easily. And in this instance, we need to be a little more careful, because if we lead a little one to the 10, then we have to come back to our hand. And that's fine if we have maybe an ace and a side suit. But if we don't, then we're going to be stuck in dummy and think, dang it, I wish I were over on the other side. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great.
Wait,
Yes.
I forgot. When you first, which is not unusual, you first suggested we play the jack, get the king, and then play the ace.
I'm suggesting lead the jack, and if the person plays the king, then you can take the ace queen 10. Right?
Let me just visualize this.
Yeah, sure. If you play the jack,
I got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you play the jack and they play small, you want to play small so you can stay over here. And this is just a slightly bigger example of the same thing. So dummy has ace queen 10 and you've got jack 9. Everybody see the jaws? Ace queen jack 10 9, you're ready to eat the king. right? You're hoping the king is over here. We good with that?
Right?
So the hope is that the king is trapped. It's pickled. It's stuck. It's dead. Pick your word.
In this case, does it matter whether you play the 9 or the jack?
Interesting question. It's actually important to lead the 9 and throw the 3 under it,
Okay.
because then you can lead the jack and throw the 10 under
And
it,
you're still in the game.
and you're still down here.
Yeah.
If you lead the jack and throw the 10, and he's got 4 of them, king 8, 7, then his 8's going to be good.
That was okay,
So
that was my,
So we'd lead the 9, play small, and it's also just easier to remember, right? One of the things that happens in bridge is you're trying to remember like a boatload of stuff. And I cannot remember a boatload of stuff. So I try to make my memory task easier. And when I lead the 9 here, you know, if it wins the trick, I'm still looking at the ace, queen, jack, 10. I'm not forgetting where anything went because I'm looking at it, right? But if I led the jack and threw the 10 under it, now I'm looking at the ace, queen, 9. Oh, yeah, you know, I'm not going to remember. So I try to make it easy on myself. So this is a really interesting one. Occasionally, you'll have something that's called a proven finesse. So suppose that dummy has the ace and the jack and the 4. And you've got in your hand the king and the 3 and the 2. I forgot to put the little jaws symbol here. Here, the jaws we're hoping to use to catch the queen instead of the king. Okay. So suppose you play the king, and suppose East discards something. Suppose they can't follow suit. Where's the queen?
West.
Queen's got to be in West.
Right.
And my mom used to call that a proven finesse. If you play the king and East discards, West must have the queen. And you know with 100% certainty that your finesse will work. You can lead toward the ace jack. I see there's a couple people I coach, and I look at their hands played online, and I look at hands played by competitors online of theirs. And I see situations where somebody leads the king. This person does not follow suit. And then the person leads toward dummy and just pops up with the ace. So the challenge is, how do you remember this, right? And I claim that the more time you spend at the table, the more you play, you'll just develop this reflex. You lead the king, and East discards, and you don't think West must have the queen. You think, oh, I'm going to win both the ace and the jack. And at least for me, somehow that's easier. It's less memory requirement. So
How would you win them though? You wouldn't necessarily, because that means that West has 7 of that suit.
but I'm going to win these 3 cards.
How?
Yeah, I'm going to play the king and I'm going to win it.
Right,
And then I'm going to play another one.
right.
And if West plays small, I'll play the jack.
And then
And then I've still got the ace.
Yeah, but then East is probably going to take that jack with the queen.
East discarded. So
I'm confused by the layout here.
Yeah, I'm backwards then. I'm okay.
You're not leading the jack.
you're leading the king,
Yeah.
and this person discarded.
Okay, so
And then you're leading from your hand around.
so West has all the cards. So West has
Yes, correct. So West has all the cards. Yep. Sorry, I didn't.
But this might have been after you've gotten rid of Trump or something. that
Correct.
this
If
scenario
it's a Trump
would happen.
contract, you would have called Trump. Otherwise, they would have trumped your king.
Yeah. Okay.
If it's a no Trump contract, you're going to be a little careful that you don't give up control of the suit.
Yes.
Um,
So
So,
maybe east here on the diagram should have one question mark or have discard or something.
yeah,
Instead of
that's
three
a good
question
idea.
marks.
That's a
Because
good
the
idea.
question marks look like they're
Cards.
cards in the suit.
Yeah, good. Here's something that's related to what we just did, but it's a little different, and it is super important. Suppose dummy has, you're playing in a suit contract, you've already called trump, you're not worried about that. And there's some suit where dummy just has 2 cards and you just have 2 cards. What's going to happen if you start playing that suit from dummy?
The ace will fall.
If you play small, they'll take it with a small card. They're not going to jump up with the ace. If you play small, they'll take it with a small card. If you play the king, they'll take it with the ace.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you start from dummy, you'd get 0 tricks.
Yeah.
So let's start from our hand. Is there any hope of taking a trick? Yes.
Yep.
Let's hope that the ace is over here. And now we're going to lead small toward the king. And what you're hoping for is that the ace is over there on the left. And if so, if they play it, now your king is good. And if they don't play it, you hope, you cross your fingers, and you play the king. So you went from no possible trick to 50-50, depending which side the ace is on.
If you were on the west side with that hand and you had the ace, what would you do? Second hand
Play
low?
small.
Second hand low.
Yeah, I'd play second hand low. And there's actually some interesting reasons for that, but beyond today. Questions about what we've been doing so far?
No.
It's all about position of the cards, and you don't know where the defender's cards are. So sometimes you have to hope that they're in an advantageous position for you. And to me, this is what's so magical about the play of the cards. I mean, just this simple idea that I lead toward the king, and half the time I'm going to get an extra trick because this guy is pickled. It's just amazing. So there's one other really important thing on this topic, and that's where we'll spend the most of the rest of our time. So suppose this is the suit. So dummy has the ace and 2 little tiny ones, and you have the queen and 2 little tiny ones. And this is super important. We're going to call the queen an unsupported honor. Like, remember when we had the ace and 2 little ones and we had queen, jack, 10? We were happy to play the queen because if that person played the king, we still had the jack and the 10. Right? Here we don't. If we play the queen and that person plays the king, well, we take our ace, but that's it.
Yeah.
And if that person doesn't have the king, we play the queen, we play small, and this person takes the king. We can't win by playing the queen. This is, once you get used to it, this is like, oh, of course. But I claim it's an almost intermediate level topic because I know people who believe that they're intermediate players who at the table don't understand this. They might understand it when we talk through it. It takes a long time to get used to it. And you have to hear somebody say it a whole bunch of times. There's actually no benefit to leading this unsupported honor. And we'll talk about what you can do. But first, this is my latest attempt at communicating this fact. So in this situation, do not lead the queen. Let's look at it a little more closely. And we just talked through this, but I wanted to talk through it again. So the queen is unsupported. It doesn't have the jack helping it out on either side, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what happens if you lead the queen? You don't know where the king is, but let's step through it. If West has the king, she plays it on your queen. Now you can take your ace, but that's it. And if East has the king, your queen rides around to it. And you only get one trick, the ace. And the reason is the queen is not supported. It looks like a finesse, and that's why people do it. It looks like a finesse, right? Oh, I lead the queen, and if he covers, I'm in good shape. But that's only true if you have the jack in addition. If you have to have support. If you don't have support for the queen, this doesn't work. And it looks like a finesse, but it's not. Any idea what we could do?
The dummy? Lead from the dummy.
Lead from the dummy. I love it. Let's lead from the dummy toward the queen. And what are we hoping?
That the king is on the east.
We're hoping that the king is on the right, that the king is in east. If the king is in east, it's just like, remember when we led toward the king in dummy? And the guy with the ace was on the hot seat. Now the guy with the king is on the hot seat. You're hoping the king is over here. If East has the king and plays it, your queen is good. If East has the king and doesn't play it, you play your queen.
Mm-hmm.
And I call this leading up to an unsupported honor. And just like the regular finesse, if the king is on the left, there's nothing you can do. You know, it's going to go small, small, queen, king. But at least trying this gave you a 50-50 chance of an extra trick. So for the second slide in a row, leading the queen here can never help. It's very hard to get used to. But eventually you will.
Phil, I have a question. You're calling that queen unsupported, and I understand that in that hand, there's nothing supporting it.
Yeah.
If the dummy had the jack, does that change the position?
Great question. Absolutely 100%. If dummy has the jack, or even better, the jack 10, now the queen has support. It just happens to live on the other side. Fabulous question. I wouldn't be surprised if you see it on a later slide. So summary, let's compare when your honor does and doesn't have supporting cards. So ace, little, queen, jack 10. The queen is supported. If West plays the king, your jack 10 are good. And per Mary's comment, let's swap the 3-2 and the jack 10. If, again, the queen has support, it just lives on the other side. So if you lead the queen, they play the king, now your ace, jack 10 is good. And the different situation is ace and 2 small, queen and 2 small, and the queen has no supporting cards. So the only way to get a trick out of it is to lead toward it. What's actually even better is if this person over here leads the suit.
Mm-hmm.
And then you play small.
Sure.
And this person plays the king or doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So for the third time, I will say the following. leading the queen is not a finesse. And my loving brother, Dave, circa 1969, looked at me after I did this and said, "It's a zero play," which I to this day, I think was his attempt to insult me. But, so, okay, so let's summarize. Ace, queen, small, and it doesn't matter if there's a small one or not, and two small in your hand. You see the jaws ready to bite the king, and you lead toward the jaws. We good with that one?
Yes.
Here you've got the queen that has support. It's okay to lead it. Lead a supported honor. And as Mary suggested, the support could be in dummy. Okay, because if the king pops up, you've still got good cards.
Mm-hmm.
Or even this one, ace, queen, jack, ace, queen, 10 with the jack over here. So the card has support. The contrast is if you've got like king small, now you've got to hope that the ace is over here and you lead toward the king. I mean, it's kind of like leading toward the jaws, except, you know, if we were to redo the diagram, it'd be the king. Anyway, I digress. So you lead toward an unsupported honor. And in this situation that we were looking at, you lead toward your unsupported honor. So if you can remember these images, you'll take half a trick more every hand you play as declared. Isn't that cool? Isn't that magical?
It is, if we can remember it.
Well, you'll remember it eventually. The only way I learn stuff in bridge is by going,
Right.
you know, and then I remember. I think I've told most of you that my partner and I adopted a bidding convention. And of course, the first time we used it, we forgot it. And I ended up declarer in a 4-heart contract. I had 2 hearts and dummy had 3.
Oh my. Oops.
And I had 4 spades. I had 6 spades and dummy had 4. So I declared 4 hearts in a 3-2 fit, staring at 6 spades. And after that, I didn't forget the convention. This is a really, really important one, and you'll find it's actually really fun. Sometimes you end up with a trump suit like this. We always say an 8-card fit is great, right? Well, suppose this is your 8-card fit. Ace 4-3-2 and queen 7-6-5. You're missing a lot of important cards. What's going to happen? How do you approach this suit? What's going to happen if you lead the queen? It's the same thing we talked about.
Right.
If you lead the queen, you're guaranteed to lose 2 tricks or more with a bad break. Because this person's either going to play the king and kill it, or it's going to ride around to the king, and they've still got the jack 10-8. And the reason it's not a good idea is the queen has no supporting cards. It's the same idea. And I guarantee you'll play trump suits that look just like this fairly often. You're thrilled to be in a 4-4 fit, but it turned out you didn't have the king and the jack and the 10. So you have to lead toward the queen. So the way to play this suit, and again, this is kind of almost intermediate, is play the ace and then lead small toward the queen.
Oh, why do you play the ace first?
Because there's a little teeny tiny chance that West over here had the singleton king.
Right. Okay.
So let's look at how well this works. If the singleton king is over there, okay, we just drop the king now we've got the ace queen. Yeah, we'll lose 2, but it's a bad break. And same thing here. We'll play the ace and then we'll lead toward the queen, and the king, person with the king, will be stuck. And if the cards are a little more friendly, well, now we play the ace and they each follow suit and we lead a little one. And this guy either plays the king, and now our queen is good to take away the 10, or he plays small and we win the queen. So we're only going to lose 1 card if we play it that way. But if we lead the queen, we're going to lose 2. So if the cards lie badly, there's nothing you can do.
Try and set up a cross ruff.
But you tried. So if this is your trump suit, start with the ace and lead small toward the queen. That's my suggestion. Another slide or two. So far, we just talked about being declarer. We didn't talk about defense. And we'll talk about defense in several weeks. But there's 2 expressions that you'll hear: lead through dummy's strength and up to dummy's weakness. And if you like long, hard to remember poems, you will hear, if dummies on your left lead through heft, and if dummies on the right lead the weakest suit in sight. And I can't do that. I can only do lead through dummy's strength and up to dummy's weakness, because that's what my mommy told me. So you're on lead. Yeah. Dummy's got the king, jack, 9. This is a good suit to lead through, because maybe partner has something like this.
Mm-hmm.
This is all about positional advantage. It's the same thing as a finesse. The hard thing on defense is you can't see partner's hand, right? That's why declarer play. How many people get nervous about declarer play?
Me.
I'll take that as 100%.
No.
Little hint, defense is much more difficult. It's just that you don't feel exposed.
Sorry.
And if you're on lead here and dummy's on your right, here's a suit where dummy has no big cards. My mom would say, well, that's dummy's weakness, lead up to dummy's weakness. And the reason is partner gets to play after declarer, and you're hoping the situation is something like this. You know, declarer has king jack, your partner has ace queen 10, or ace queen and king jack. Your partner gets to play after, and partner can see dummy's cards. Or even this situation, if you lead this twice, you've created a trick. Key terms and ideas from today: finesse, distinguishing between a supported honor and an unsupported honor. The idea that a finesse either works, which is a synonym for wins, which is a synonym for the king is on side, which is a synonym for the king is in front of, or else it loses. And lead toward an unsupported honor. It's really important. Lead toward an unsupported honor. And on defense, you lead through dummy's strength and up to dummy's weakness. And playing fourth is always an advantage. So those are the key things from today. Questions, comments? Oh my God, I might have finished on time.
I have one, just when it says lead through and then lead up to.
Yeah.
Do those differ based upon where you're positionally placed? Meaning.
That's correct.
So the lead through is if you're playing before the dummy, and lead up to just means you're playing before the dummy.
Yeah, dummy is going to play fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're on defense and dummy's on your right, they're going to play fourth. And so you'd like to lead a suit where they don't have any big cards.
Yep.
And then partner can do whatever she thinks is best. Great question. Yes?
I have a question.
Yeah.
If you have your trumps distributed like that with just 2 honors, would you try and set up cross ruff?
It would depend on the hand. That's a great question, Diane. If I had, and this is a deeper question, but let me see if I can answer it without being too confusing. If I've got a lot of high cards in all the other suits, I'm not going to worry about cross ruffing. My worry is minimize my trump losers. Right? I mean, if I got aces and kings in the other suits, I just want to make sure I don't lose too many trump tricks. And so with that suit, I'm going to play the ace and lead to the queen. And when we talk about playing a suit contract in some number of weeks, we'll look at almost a contrived example where dummy has a singleton and declarer has the ace in one suit, and declarer has a singleton and dummy has the ace in another suit. And in that case, you just want to play your 2 aces and then just trump back and forth, cross ruff back and forth. Is that what you were asking about, Diane?
Yeah.
Those situations are actually fairly rare. But boy, are they fun when you get to do them. Woo! So that's what we got. The plan for the rest of today is we'll stretch, take a break, and then we'll go out to the coaches' breakout rooms. And we'll play hands on Shark Bridge. Marcus will put the link into the chat when he's got it ready. He has a tremendous amount of work to do. For the regulars, what I think we should do is each person will sit south against 3 robots. And for the regulars, we'll bid the hand and then we'll talk about it and adjust it if we need to. And then we'll play the hand and talk about it. For the people who are, kind of the rusty returnees, and Amy, based on my question, you can probably come in, based on your question, you can probably come into my group. For the people who are more rusty and haven't been through the talks that we've done on bidding and so on, the bidding part won't be a lot of fun. So I would suggest you go with Martha. Martha will kind of talk you through the bidding and then focus on the play of the hand, which is the fun part and the key part today.
Hey, Phil, I had a question.
Yeah.
Going back to that example you just gave, and if you're the declarer and you're playing, your partner, and you both have kind of voids after one time.
Yeah.
Are you, before you pull trump, because are you safe, because the opponents aren't going to have much, are you safe to do the cross roughing for a while?
Great question. And we should look at some examples of that. The short story is, yeah, because typically what we're talking about is dummy has a singleton heart and I've got 4 to the ace. So they've got 8 of them.
Yeah.
So they're probably 4-4 or 5-3. And I can trump a couple times before they could over trump.
Yeah.
Great question.
So you're safe there. Okay. Thank you.
And just for those of you who really like tons of stuff, there's an appendix in this document that talks through a whole bunch of other really cool topics. So you can go to the Google Drive and you can pull this down in PDF form or PowerPoint form, and you can read tons more stuff. Do you guys want to look at one really fun hand?
Yeah.
All right, let me see if I can get there. Okay. So I need to page up a little bit. This is like the coolest thing in the world, and it actually does happen. So let's suppose that we're playing 3 spades. Okay. It looks like we got 8 easy tricks. We got 5 spades and the ace king of hearts and the ace of clubs. So we got 8 easy tricks. Where the heck are we going to get our last trick? So let's suppose they lead a club or something and we just take it. You take the ace, you call trump, and that changes us to this situation. So we won our ace of clubs and we called the trump in, say, 2 rounds. And it looks like we're facing 4 losers in the minors. And now we've got to guess whether the queen of hearts is over here or over here,
Mhm.
right? We kind of all on board with that?
Yeah.
Here's a really cool idea. Throw them in. Let them take their diamonds and their clubs. Now they have to lead a heart.
Mhm.
Solves your problem.
Mhm.
And if they lead a diamond, well, you'll throw away your heart loser in one hand and you'll trump in the other.
Mhm.
They've been end played. This is what's so fun about play of the hand. I mean, it's just magic. It's just magic. So